All right, check, check. Here's what we're doing right at the moment. Um, Conducting a scan on GulfLINK of the Nasiriyah case narrative. There's three versions: a 1998, um, a 2000, um, and there's one in the middle. What I'm finding, as is the case with the Kamasia narrative, is that the last version, the one that is public facing, if you go to the references, the end notes, a lot of them are missing. So what I've done here is I've scanned the 1998 version, which is the first version, which they don't usually mess with. And aside from these ones, as you can see here with my cursor, it does say present, that it's a text file. But these have 0 bytes, which means there's nothing there. So they're all shown in green. This is the kilobytes of the file, so we know that there's something there. So then I run the 2000 case narrative endnotes, in other words, the references, and this 876 bit is a placeholder. It's basically a banner of when you go there, it's the file's missing. And you can see to what degree that they are missing. Substantial. And you add the 0 byte uh, into it, which, the script didn't account for the 0 byte. But that's okay because I'm about to feed this back into um, my AI. So I don't want to press enter and close. I want to copy this. I'm going to copy this and I'm going to feed it back to my AI and just say issue found with 0 bit shown as found. Other than that, a scan went as expected. Now cross-reference with the citation and let's see if there's a pattern as to the missing files. So then I'll paste it in. And I've been conducting this analysis for months now. I just had not conducted it on this case narrative. So this is the uh, professional paid version of Claude AI. It's $200 a month. So I can pretty much do anything I need to with it. It's pretty good at writing code. I could never have written this code. What it does is actually goes out onto the DoD website and opens these files just and checks if they're there or not. I've run ones where it actually downloaded the files. I'm not interested in doing that right at the moment. Um, because I have thousands and thousands of these files already, and it takes time. Right now, I just want to find out what the pattern is. What I believe it is um, there's certain things, there's certain documents, interviews, um, reports that they really didn't ever want publicized. Okay, so let's see. So by the time they had basically spin doctored these case narratives between 1997 and 98, before they really knew what had happened and had devised their story, they pretty much put everything out there. They were open and transparent. But by 2000, 2002, you had different people on board, and they were interested in protecting uh, the DoD and CIA, and they began filtering, um, spin doctoring the narratives. It was not long after that, over the next few years, that these files started go missing. And when I say files, I'm talking about if you go here to this is the Nasiriyah case narrative, where we also blew up some stuff. This was dated July of 1998. And so uh, this place was right between Talil, which was a suspected chemical weapon storage site, Talil Air Base, um, and this was Nasiriyah Southwest, and it was just a few miles away from Camisea. And the three got confused a lot amongst people sending out, because these things weren't well known, they weren't well marked. We were in enemy territory. So this is important because while we were destroying these weapons depots, namely, there had been activities at Talil and Camisea. There was also activities going on at Nasiriyah, um, and this was on the 7th of March. They sent a Black Hawk with exploitation crews in, and the sampling teams, like it says here, they didn't wear any insignia, no identifying patches. The sampling location was a bunker located several miles east of Talil. The ASP coordinates were programmed in the Black Hawk's Doppler radar navigation system. However, when they flew to the program location, the gusty wind and poor visibility made it difficult to find the site. So they flew to Talil, reoriented, and then back to the correct site. Um, the bunker complex had been hit by numerous bombs. There's munitions scattered all over the place. And they noticed there were shells in the area that had an unknown residue on them. The sampling team went to MOP 4 and went to test and sample. And when they were waiting, some of the aircrew discovered that one of the bunkers was wired for demolition with explosives and deck cord fixed to boxes of 155 shells. And after they went back to the helicopter, Humvee with one or two people came up. These were um, S3 intelligence officers from the 307th Engineer Battalion. Um, and they were not in mop gear. And they talked to them. And while they were there, let's see, they were burning their mop gear. When the sampling team finished, they boarded the Black Hawk and departed. So they had been sent to this facility to capture, exploit, test for chemical and biological weapons. And here's pictures of the crew right there. And this bunker looks considerably identical to that of the ones in Camisea. This, however, is different in that this was hit by a bomb. You can tell because the building is intact, the concrete pad is pushed up, which means that a bomb was dropped on it and they basically exploded underneath. Camisea is different. I'll show you one of those if I can. There's a picture of them at the bunker, and that apparently there was rigging going on, so they did not go in and test. And there they are burning their mop gear. Um, so So when I talk about doing the document testing, so here is, so you go to the footnotes. Here's 37. Interview with the 513th MI Brigade Chemical Officer, December 3rd of 1997. So if you go here, click on this, you get an image, you get a GIF, and there's several pages. This is a phone interview from the investigative team. And so these are important because then, if you want to, if you're reading this report and you want to know what the brigade chemical officer said, you click on the reference, right? So if you go, and so we've got interview with 307th engineers, the joint chemical munition. Uh, I'm not sure what that stands for. JCMEC. You've got, so in other words, so here's the 307th Engineer lead report. This is the subject was Camisea. And so let's see. He was a sergeant in the 307th Engineers, attached to 4th of the 325. So he would have been 3rd Brigade, Charlie Company. Um, and he said some of the 155 rounds were oozing a brownish sap. He was not present for the actual test of the substance. And goes on in quite a bit of detail. Um, so nowhere in that, and so what I'm testing is all these links. So that was this report is these links, the ones in green, because you click on them and they're there. But now you go to the 19 or the 2000 report. This one, the final report, and we go down here to the same. Oh, okay, so oozing munitions. It's a little bit more characterized than the first one. So let's see. They go and they talk about oozing demolitions. But let's see. So at least one Black Hawk crew member thought the oozing musicians he observed in the ASP was unusual. It's not unheard of for artillery munitions to leak, exude, or at least be partially covered with a brownish substance. At least one 307th engineer major seen this phenomenon when rigging bunkers at Talil and on Nasiriyah, oozing a brownish sap. Well, so let's go see what he actually said. Um, okay, that one is there. Let's see. Da, 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 da. What I want is the MI guys. Or let's just, okay, there. Gone. This is the 513th MI Intelligence Brigade Chemical Officer. Not there. In the 1998 report, let's see, where is he? 513. Da, 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 da. 513th MI Brigade Chemical Officer. It's there. How many times did that happen? Well, let's find out. So the cross-reference joins every one of the 33 missing 2000 documents to its endnote, lead sheet, witness, or document identity and date. So the pattern is not random with respect to witness role. The interview record 4 concentrations stand out. The biological sampling mission splits by function. The 4 Blackhawk crew who flew the team all resolve. In other words, you click on it, it's there. Every member of the substantive chain is missing. The 513 military chemical officer who led it, uh, the officer who accompanied it, the 9th Chemical Company technician who sampled, and the JCMAC operation officer who tasked it, the commander who reported the results, the U.S. Uh, special pathogens chief who tested the samples, along with the historical report and the sampler message. The transport crew remains. The people who could speak to what was tasked, sampled, and found in the laboratory do not resolve. They're missing. The Fox reconnaissance witnesses split by corroboration. The end note itself stresses that only 2 Fox vehicles operated there and that their crews would have known of any positive samples. The operator resolves the commander and the crew chief, the independent corroboration on detection, are both missing. The 307th Engineer Battalion splits by echelon. The line engineers, the spring 1997 platoon leaders, the S2, the S3 operation officers resolve. The battalion commander, the executive officer, and the earliest company platoon leader interview all missing. And where a person was interviewed twice, the earlier interview is the one missing. Usually because, as I've went into in full detail in another paper that I'm in published or have uploaded to ResearchGate as a preprint, um, there was a time that they were first contacted and interviewed, and then the inspector general got involved and basically put a hush order on them and told them not to speak with any more interviewers. And then so on the callback, they were constrained as far as what they said. And plus, they were coached. Um, so let's see. the missing set is not purely testimony. It also includes a reference white paper, a UN resolution scan, material safety data sheet, 3 figures, 2 web captures, um, which is consistent with some broad attrition in the 2000 report's reference directory than testimony alone. So let's see. The documents that fail to resolve concentrate in command, the sampling mission intelligence and laboratory chain, the corroborating detection witnesses and earliest interviews, while line level field testimony and later re-interviews resolve. That's because they didn't really concern themselves with trying to manipulate their testimonies or their reporting because they were lower echelon. They didn't have uh, a higher responsibility in the case narrative as it was going to be displayed. So now, this is where it gets really interesting because what I'll do is we'll go to Comisia and we'll go to the very first Comisia, the earliest case narrative release. And what I do, here's the process that I do. Okay, so I go to the page source. That way it gives me all these clean links that the AI can uh, parse easily. It's basically the behind the scenes of a web page, what a web page, the code and text that generates what you end up seeing. So it's just cleaner for the AI to use. So I'm going to tell it. So now, because a lot of these reports, a lot of these interviews and such cross over between the Nasiriyah and the Kamasia and the Talio interviews because they're most of and a lot of the same people involved. So now I'm providing the 1997 Kamasia narrative and notes with many of the same people, personnel, and these same documents, lead reports. Lead reports are just interviews. So let's parse and see which ones resolve with the Nasiriyah report. Um, and I'll provide the, so let's kill 2 birds with 1 stone here. So we'll go back. That's the 97 report. It's the 97. So the final Comisia was 2002. And we'll go down here to the end notes. View page source. Same deal. A 2002 report as well. Yeah, the AI already kind of knows what I'm talking about here because we already ran some of this. So let's see how they resolve across different case narratives. Um, so I'll paste that one. Oops, I must not have pasted the 97 in notes. This is what I use AI for. So, if I've been criticized, oh, you just throw that in your AI and see what it says. I challenge anybody to try to do this without AI. This is why it hasn't been possible until now to do these types of forensic investigations, and why it's so critical that people pay attention to what it is that I'm doing here, because this is breakthrough, really breakthrough stuff. We couldn't do this back in '97, or they would not have gotten away with this shit. So let's see. So I'll need a new shell for this with the lessons learned from previous run. Oh, and what it did was here, it uh from that last run, it showed me which ones are missing, what type of it, document it was, and then um, provides me the script, so that when I write a report, I can provide the script that was used and how it was done, so anybody can replicate it. And then this is the full first page sweep comparing 2098. So this is what AI excels at and what it's good for, and it's taken me a year and a half to really learn how to really swing the bat, as it can be said. So identical file names present in 98 and missing in 2000. So let's see what is cooked up for me. It's working on it still. So in the meantime, let's see. Um, it's interesting. There was no counterpoint or counterpart located in the 2000. These documents were not found in the 98. So there's actual, it's more extensive report in 2000. They got the pathogens crew, the chief interview, the Fox crew chief, all this extra stuff, but then they disconnect the link so you can't even find the paper. Okay, so it's having to sort through the difference in the naming conventions between the two case narratives, because they were done differently and apart. So this might have the same interview of the same person in the Nasiriyah report as the Qamsiyya report, but the Qamsiyya report, the file name is different. So you have to actually it matches up that officer, that report, the date, and then resolves the file name. So then it can compare the same, um, apples to apples and oranges to oranges. So And I've already run this Camisea one uh, because that's what's in this paper that I have on a ResearchGate, the GulfLINK archive, uh, document accessibility, evidentiary integrity in the Gulf War classification record, that goes into detail about how, in approximately 2010, the collection started to cease to resolve. In other words, certain documents, you get 404 not found. Everybody knows what a 404 not found is. Um, so I've already done a highly detailed um, paper uh, explaining how the OCR, text recognition index pages, the GIF files, all this stuff can um, uh, be read right here. The prior GulfLink host at GulfLink OSD.mil returned HTTP 200 response um, for URLs that did not contain valid content, serving instead an 876 byte default HTML file. In other words, it gives you, instead of just saying 404 not found, it's a banner. So I had to teach the AI the difference between not found and actually it throwing you a banner. Um, because the AI, the script is just going to see, in other words, that's one way they hide the fact that there's nothing there, because you go to the page and there is a page there. There's a file there, but it's just the banner, the Department of Defense banner, so that it looks like there's something sitting there. It's a placeholder. But you can only tell that it's the same banner sitting there placeholding because it shows up as 876 bytes. That's why when this shows up, see right here, 876 bytes, that means that they put a placeholder there. So when you land there, there's a file. It doesn't say 404 not found. It just shows the banner. Um, and then some places like this one where it's 0 bytes. Um, but yeah, so if you look at all the red, missing, missing, missing in the 2000 file, and it all shows up in the 98 because they weren't concerned about manipulating the old case narrative. They only cared about manipulating the final one, the one that they were going to put forth as this is our stance, okay? And what they've done, and see, they thought they got away with this, but I've been watching. So if we go to, so Camisea, um, now if we go to their new site at health.mil, this is their new version of the report. So they're really proud of how they migrated this into their new website. And they've got other ones over here. Not many though, because let's see. Yeah, they've got these. Let's see. Where's where's the Nasiriyah? Um, Talil? No Nasiriyah. What do you know? Guess they didn't think that one was important, or maybe they didn't want anybody to know about it. So it pretty much says the same things as the other ones over on the old site. This is the old site. Okay, this is the old site. This is what it looks like. That's on GulfLink.osd.mil. That was his original resting place in 97. And this is what it looks like. So the 97 one is not very big. And this is what the endnotes look like. See, they got the description, and you click on it. Now, here's an important point. What they did was in 97, and when I was the executive director of the National Gulf War Resource Center, and I was working with this office, the Office of Special Assistant to Gulf War Illnesses, uh, Bernard Rosker, they were scanning documents for text recognition. And so this document comes up as just the titling, the reference. It's not the document. So I said, you know, that's all fine and well, but we need the source image there too. See? SRC image. There. That's what we need. So it says subject, possible chemicals and objective goal, which is come and see it. Da 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 da. Lead with Fox vehicles when entering area. That was when the 24th ID first overran it on 26 February because it does no good. And so then we click on the OCR text because there's nothing there. So I made a special point of saying, okay, that's all fine and well, but we need the image. Well, so they did. Um, but it wasn't long after. So if we go to, so let's see, that was 18th Airborne Corps talk, handwritten message. So let's go to the final report. Oops, that's not Syria. The CommonCF final report in 2002. We go down here to the same. So let's see if we can find that. It might take me a minute to find it. It's the same 18th there. Handwritten action message form, February 26th. Operations tactical log. There it is. Okay. Now, before I started probing this GulfLINK extensively about a year ago. At that time, so let's look at this. At that time, this probably was not there. It was gone. So we'll go to the Wayback Machine. So we're going to go to the Wayback Machine. We're going to paste in that document and let's see its history. How many times it was accessed between 2002 when the report came out. So we click on it, we go down here, we find this May 23rd snapshot. It was there. Okay, great. Let's go here to 2011, June 4th. Was it there? It was there. Let's go to 2016, December. Was it there? It was there. Now, I may have picked a bad example, but that was the last time that it was found in 2016. Because what they did was, in order to hide them, when they disconnected, see, this should have been found in 2018, 2020, 22, 24. Um, it wasn't found again. It stopped being resolved around this time because they changed the link. So I can't remember how they did it. Um, Oh, they changed this right in here, this N70. They changed that so that if you take one number out or one letter, it doesn't, you can't find it, right? So, all right, let's see here. Well, it's gone on and it's doing this on its own. I asked it for another shell uh, so that I could run it in here and get a log of it. So let's see. Da 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 da. So what I asked it, okay. So I gave it the end notes from the first commissary report and the last commissary report. It already has the Anasaria report, and let's see. And it already knows the A already knows about this report because it helped me write it. So it already knows all this stuff. A lot, which is basically what I'm telling you now. In fact, look here, the Nasria parallel extractions. See, I've already done this to a certain extent. Um, I probably should have told it to look at my look at that before I started doing all this. So let's see. Uh, Important finding: the live Camisea 1 endnotes page, the first one, returns the site exception placeholder, and the live index has no endnotes link at all. Oh, yeah. So here was the point I was going to make is so on the health.mil at DHA, the new site, look, let's go to the endnotes. What do you know? Not one motherfucking link whatsoever. None. It's completely stripped. They don't want you to see these documents. If they did, they wouldn't have gone all to the trouble of disconnecting the ones from out here on GulfLINK that they don't want you to see. You get it? Here's the final report from Nasria. So let's see. We go to the end notes. I don't know. Let's just. So this is the OCR version, right? So this version is a scan of a document uh, regarding Fallujah, Camisea, Nasiriyah chemical warfare related sites. This is probably UN. Ongoing monitor and verification. Some UN document. Inspected the area around Bunker 73. Evidence a large number of Sector 18 in the previous footprint of the structure, as well as the surrounding area. Inspection team took a number of still and videos of the rockets. And this is where, see, they're, uh, they had been moved from Al Mathana to Bunker 73. Anyway, this is an important document, okay? So that's the OCR scanned recognition. It also says right here, uh, 30 scuds. Those are Al Hussein warheads. That's a scud. 16 were filled. This is what they found at uh, at this location. 16 filled with sarin and 14 filled with alcohol. Here's another one. A scud filled with alcohol. Alcohol is it's an they use it to mix the agents together once it's fired. We got sarin, cyclosarin, and alcohol, and they mix together while the rocket rotates. They didn't fire these at us because they never really worked out how to get the mixing down correctly. As in a Scud is just a lot different than a 122 millimeter rocket because they tumble when they re-enter. Also, they had issues with um, temperature because they're intercontinental ballistic missiles. They go up near space, so they freeze. These Scuds are Russian designed, but the Russians didn't chemically weaponize their Scuds. The Scud missile warhead, the Al Hussein, was Iraqi built and designed, so they never really worked it out how it was going to fucking work. Um, the same thing with the rockets that were at Camisea. The SAKR-18s are our version of the MLRS that are fired from a BM-21, basically Katushka rockets, the ones that out of the big box. That warhead, while the rocket is Russian made, that warhead is Iraqi made because the Russians didn't equip those rockets with nerve agent. They had other delivery mechanisms that were better. So, um, but you notice here's a key thing. There's no image for this. See? Just OCR. Just OCR. So most of these, let's see, senior EOD. So which year is this? This is the 2000 report for Nasiriyah. Um, but if we go back up here to uh, there, interview with Fox crew chief, missing. Okay, Fox vehicle commander, missing. Fox vehicle operator, it's there. That's what I'm talking about. And that's what the AI found. Okay. So just for grins, let's see what he said. Uh, let's see what Camisea came up with. Oh boy, it's a lot of stuff. So just for clarity's sake, wow, that shell runs, analyze the Fox operator lead report. So again, this is something that is nice to have because I, I just copy the image, paste it in, next page, copy, paste it in. Whoops. Uh, Glad that didn't click over because it wasn't done yet. Copy. That's the last page. And how does it correlate with the narrative? So in the meantime, it's giving me a new script to run. So we're going to close that one out. And you get to see what this looks like. So we're going to run the new one. Boom. Here it goes. And it shouldn't return any of those 0 byte because I had it fixed that. So now it's going through the Camisea report from 97. And thus far, it's all returning good documents. Some are text, some are scans. All right. Now let's go back out. As it analyzes, because it's going to go through it and it reads those documents in just split seconds. And because this AI, I've been working on this in here for a year and a half. I've got freaking 10,000 different. Here, I'll show you. Go out here. Odd. These are all uh, unit locations. So these are all the documents that I have in the knowledge base. Uh, Unit positions that I've extracted from intelligence documents. Da 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 da. Who was where, what date, what time, where it was, what it was doing. Okay. So it it, uh, it draws from this, finds center of. Okay, so then I can use that in GIS programs to plot these out so that um, I can recreate where everybody was. I don't have to depend on the Department of Defense because they're not going to give me these troop locations. I can tell you that. And so some of them have times on them, some of them don't. But I had to get it all, I had to teach it, you know, exactly how to format uh, unit designations. You know, there was a lot went into this. You don't just throw something in there and crank it out. Well, trust me, it took me 6 months to get it to do that. Um, that's one project. We go down here to uh, the Dugway testing. You can see this is the knowledge base over here. Uh, different narratives, contradictions. Um, you can, excuse me, folks. You can see these are all different chat sessions. So, come see a bunker intelligence analyst. Uh, so this is a small one here. With new capabilities of cloud, we can now contextualize work regarding Commercia, create an artifact. Artifact is a document with a comprehensive narrative, Chicago 17 styles, all aspects. So in other words, I'm having it just extract everything that I've worked on, and this is what comes out. But I can tell you, so it gives me a whole report of of the methodological failures of Dugway, which is well documented in Senate reports and the GAO, but it didn't come easily. In other words, these are all variations of uh, different documentation to do with Dugway testing. And I was at Dugway in 97 when they were testing this. So I know what happened there. I, so like here's a soot analysis, and this is all has to do with disputing reports on March 4th that the wind was blowing away from troops. Um, Again, this can all be found on my uh, ResearchGate. That report is titled well, there's a couple of them. There's the Bunker 73 demolition, atmospheric reconstruction. And you can see here, I took 6 different satellites, which the DoD never did, and computed all what way the wind was actually blowing. Also analyzed the engineer video that a lot of you have probably seen. So that's one report, and um, then here's the paper on the geospatial reconstruction of the military unit positions and um, how I processed all those unit locations. So, we're talking, you know, I not only have been working on this since 1996, but I've been working on this latest go around for about a year and a half. And I got about 7,000 hours in it. Um, for instance, just something that goes into consideration. The declassified documents, which that's why I'm researchers are dependent on GulfLINK functioning, because then I can go in and I can pull out these documents, these logs and different intelligence documents that are found in the GulfLINK files that I can then find these locations. But you've got different grid systems. Um, in other words, uh, you got different time systems. You got the named locations are different. Commercia was also known as Tal Alam, Objective Gold, da da da. And then, uh, see, there's a whole chapter on just trying to integrate 4 or 5 different coordinate coordinate systems and the timelines. And then I detail the AI assisted document extraction where I put hundreds and hundreds of GulfLINK documents into the AI and was able to extract what was important so that, identification of every statement, table row references that places a military unit at a location during a specific time period, extraction of unit designation, location reference, date range, activity, and conversion of extracted location references to coordinates following the procedures. So, and then I verify everything. There's nothing that I do with AI that doesn't pass by me and is to my uh, standards, which are academic standards for publication. This report is ready to be published. I just haven't done it because I'm still generating reports. I've got 5 papers out sitting here. I've got one of them that I'm getting ready to submit for publication. So I got 5 of them here, um, of which they've been read 1,600 times in just a matter of a couple months. So back to what we're doing. Oh, what's happening here? So let's see. So there's the 98. No, oh, that's the one we already did. Um, so this is chemistry in 1997. Um, there's a few of them missing. A few of them missing. Here's chemistry 2000. Why? That's a big difference from whew, from just weeks ago when I ran this. Wow. Wow. Okay. It's still going. That's Nasseria 98. I can't believe those are all pretty much there. So I need to find, because with all the snooping around, when I've been doing this for the last year, it triggered. Plus, I made some phone calls. I made some uh, IG complaints. I made sent some emails, and other people had sent some FOIAs, nosing around, but they didn't really know what they were looking for. Um, this this kind of stuff they can't stop me from doing because I'm not doing anything wrong. I'm not breaking any laws. All I'm doing, and I'm not tampering with their system or any of their firewalls or any of that shit. I'm just going, is the file there or not? There's nothing wrong with that, and I can use an AI or a script to do that if I want. I'm not jamming up their system. I'm not even downloading it. I'm not even asking what's in that file. I just what's there? Is it there? How big is it? Um, so I need to find oh analysis and note CDX. Okay. That looks to be what I want. So this is from where I ran that before. Oops. Um, this is important. So let's go back out here. That's the Commissary 97, which are missing. This is going to tell a lot right here. So I uploaded the run from months back, and results today. It would appear Camisea has been fully restored to a condition from from before 2010. If I'm not mistaken, this is huge. This shows the massive cover-up that they orchestrated for years, for decades, of trying to hide and remove these documents. When I started poking around, because this has nothing to do with any of the FOIAs that the VVA or anybody else have trying to turn in. Nobody has done this extensive of an analysis, because I was there when GulfLINK was built, right? So I know what's there. I know what's supposed to be there. I know what disappeared. I've been watching it. I downloaded several hundred of these documents back in 97, 2007, and I've been carrying them around on hard drives for 30 years because I knew they were going to pull this shit. So here we go. So that was in April that I ran that. Because I know there was still a bunch of them missing. And they started restoring them in March. I don't need you to run it again. Yeah. And looking at 53 documents, there was 53 of them that were broken in April 23rd. Mostly images, scans. I, I, I don't need you to run it again. I pasted what was just run using. This is what I talk about. Uh, AI is a tool. It's not going to do it for you using the show command. I don't need you to run it again. I just pasted it. You just ran it. It's running. That's what's running here. I just told it you don't have to do that all again because it's already been done. In fact, there it is. Did it for us. Look at that. It's already built in. 97 uh, report. Let's see. That was okay. Um, Go back out here. I should have output as documents cited in more than one narrative with differing resolution. Okay, so let's see what it is. On April 23rd, live analysis, 218 linked COMACIA 3 assets, 36 images are missing, 8 wrapper, 6 broken partial, 50 documents whose live but the image was absent. Today's run, 120 present, 69 to 1 missing across 153. The roughly 50 documents that lacked images had broken wrappers 6 weeks ago, now resolved. What matters is which documents came back. These are not only the, okay, Walpole letter, Chipholm vapor inhalation toxicity memorandum, peer review, 60th EOD. Yeah, these are all, yeah, these are all important documents. Restored to its earlier complete state. The wayback captures in the summary run 200 from 2002, and the last captures in early 7. Carry the dash. Okay. The loss window this data set points to is late 2016 into 2017, which lines up with the migration point. That's what I was saying. Right here. Right there. That's where they were removed, and they showed up in here. So they're not going to show back up on Wayback because they stopped running it when they disappeared. There was no reason for it to capture it again. Amazing. Amazing stuff. And you got to see it live. This is squarely your silver bullet layer, the post-restoration differential, and it is the cleanest instance of it so far. Absolutely. A 6-week interval in which a named set of COMACIA 3 document images went from absent to present on a live host. And you all got to see it here live. Jeffrey Ford, GulfLINK. You know, all the rhetoric, spamming all over Facebook about conspiracies and cover ups are absolutely, if it wasn't so sad, it'd be fucking hilarious. All the spam that flies around. Ah, the government hates us. They're trying to kill us. They have no idea. None. None whatsoever. I'm arguing with the guy now who has posted, he reposted a meme that says half Gulf War veterans are dead. It's absolute bullshit. Okay? It's not even true. And then he's saying, I got to check my sources. What the fuck sources are you going to check? If 1 out of 2 Gulf War veterans were dead, don't you think we'd know about it? It'd be huge. And there is 4 or 5 different peer-reviewed publications on mortality in Gulf War veterans. And actually, we're doing better than the general population. There's 697,000, almost 700,000. That's trying to say that 330,000 of us are dead. That's absolutely ridiculous. To just, I mean, think about it. And, the conspiracy theories abound. It's endless. And I throw this stuff out here, and it's like crickets. Crickets. Nobody says, "Oh my God, we got to have a hearing." These are the these are our documents, okay? These uh these are in the public domain. These belong to us, okay? These are not to be tampered with. Here's why it's important. Exactly. 1st Brigade, there's their location on 2 March at 2200 Zulu hours, March 91. We know where 1st Brigade, I'm assuming this is 18th Airborne Corps, is along phase line crush in the northern 2nd Brigade is right here, center section, 197th, 3rd ACR, the 101st, 24th. We know where they were on March 2nd at 2200 Zulu. Divisions are discovering large numbers of bunkers and underground complexes containing. This is when the 24th found Calmacia. Well, these documents are crucial and they belong to us. They are our history. And for the Department of Defense to pull this shit is the biggest cover up of all because it's still happening right here. Look, this is their current webpage. This is their forward facing public U.S. demolition operations at Camacia final report, and not one fucking link, not one document. Why? They don't want you to read this stuff. Here you go. The transcript of the Fort Leavenworth press conference, Gulf War Illnesses, Camacia, November 1996. You won't find that anywhere. Why? They never released it. What do you mean? Transcript, page 16, they cite it. They cite it over and over. How do I know? Let's see. Right here. Let's go to our research and we look at uh, I didn't put that one up. Leavenworth. That's a whole nother story. That is a whole nother story. Trust me. It's just as huge. But anyway, I'm going to cut it off at this point because I tend to ramble, and I hope you enjoy this. I do have a Patreon. I would appreciate, and I'm going to load it over there. I think the monthly is like $18. If you want to help support this, I'm a disabled vet just like the rest of you. Okay. This stuff takes all my time. We're talking 12, 16, 18 hours a day doing this stuff for years. I could use the help. Right now, I got one I got one subscription, one member, one follower, and that's my son, who's also a veteran. Um, I'm gonna post this over there. I would appreciate some of you guys following over there and flip me a 20 a month. It just to help keep things going. Like I said, just the AI alone is $200 a month. There's 12 subscribers. So appreciate you. Um, been at this for 30 some years now, not giving up.